Good afternoon, everyone. If you're and so I know Richard was always ready to help in any way that he could, and our shared love of music was on numerous occasions. He and I played together. We played duets. I played the keyboard. He played the
smoking hot body. So that's why you decided to be cremated.
Oh,
I
so love that. Oh my God. Yes. 2 thumbs way up.
Thank you for your reading of the puns. These were terrible jokes, but I hope that especially you musicians will not guitar and feather me.
Oh.
Y'all are funny.
It's really tall. I'm really short. I have a step. It's not tall enough. So I'm Heidi Perret. I'm a little taller. I played with the Stingers, and Jackson was my student when he was in 7th grade, and we moved 4 years ago to Rapid City, and I was able to hand Jackson off knowing that he could continue to study and grow, and obviously he has. He's done a wonderful job, but with the Black Hills Symphony Orchestra, Richard stepped down and gave me his second seat so I could still play in Rapid City, and he played there for over 20 years. But at the last concert, April 11th, I will not forget it, we were doing rehearsal, and he goes, you know, and I'm gonna mess part of this up, he goes, why is it that musicians strive for perfection, for that perfect solo? And I said, honestly, I'm afraid I'm gonna screw it up. He goes, no. You play the moment passes. He goes, but, you know, I mean, I think about it, my playing never killed anybody. Oh, Richard. He goes, well, but it kind of did. And if you don't know, Richard played for hospice. And so with his playing, bear with me, with his playing, he did help people pass. It necessarily didn't kill anybody, thank goodness. But because he was such a wonderful, wonderful person, and I just played his part, so it's, but he said, we'll get lunch, and we'll talk about it. We'll have a great conversation about that. So I'm really looking forward to it. But it was just his humor. Well, my playing never killed anybody. Thank you, Richard.
I am tall enough for this mic, so adjust it to my needs. So I'm also a bassoonist. I also work on elevators for a living, so I have my ups and downs. Okay. So I am still a bassoonist.
He talked about you.
Oh, thank the Lord. You know, good. Yes. Well, I'm John Perry. Thank you. I have a fox. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. So I was taking a lesson, right? And Richard's very upfront, like, well, that sucked. And I was like, well, you know what? I really don't care. But I need to work on this note. And he's like, well, your time's up. And I was like, well, guess what? On that note, I will see you later. That's what I was having trouble with. So, on that note, see you later. Exactly.
You guys were great. Thank you. And it was Richard, wasn't it? So now where am I? We're going to hear Londonderry Air. Is that right?
Yes.
This is by the Rara Avis. I hope I said that right. Close enough.
So Rara Avis was like a small group representing the Wyoming Symphony Orchestra outreach stuff that Richard did about their assessment of what I am not Richard, but I am playing this part.
You know what? Mela told me the other day, she said, I think that Casper is now bassoon capital of the world. There are so many. I think it's so fabulous. Alex McDonald, the executive director of the Wyoming Symphony Orchestra, will come and say a few words. Hi. Today, as we gather pardon me. Today, as we gather to honor Richard, we want to honor not only the incredible musician that he was, but the remarkable person that we were all so fortunate enough to know. When I was asked to speak on behalf of the Wyoming Symphony Orchestra today, I couldn't have been more honored. Thank you. I'll keep it together. Many of you knew Richard for decades, and as our principal bassoonist and someone who dedicated so much of his life to music. But titles only begin to describe a small piece of what Richard gave to this community. Richard believed that music was meant to be shared. He wanted audiences to understand not only what they were hearing, but why it mattered. He loved the stories behind the music, the history behind the composers, and the little details that brought a piece to life. He was a master storyteller in every sense of the word. One of my favorite things was receiving Richard's program notes before each concert. Well, eventually receiving them. Richard and I only had one ongoing disagreement, and that was word count. Richard always had so much he wanted to share, and I was always trying to remind him that we only have so many pages in the program. But honestly, that endless enthusiasm was one of the most wonderful things about him. He loved music deeply, and he wanted everyone around him to love it too. Anytime we had an opportunity to bring music to the community, Richard was the first to say yes. Whether he was speaking to students, educating audiences, mentoring young musicians, or simply making someone laugh with one of his perfectly timed puns, he showed up fully and generously every single time. I know many people encourage me to reach out to others for stories and memories about Richard today, and I truly appreciate the guidance. But I want to share what it meant to know Richard, even for a relatively short period of time that I got to know him. Over the past year and a half, the WSO has had almost a complete turnover in staff. Richard quickly became someone who we could lean on. He was generous with his time, patient with his knowledge, and always willing to step in when needed. He carried so much history of the orchestra with him, but he never held it in a way that felt guarded. He wanted to share it. He wanted people to learn and grow and feel connected to music and each other. Because of Richard's dedication to helping musicians grow, and because of the way he constantly lifted up those around him, the Wyoming Symphony Orchestra will be renaming our Young Artist Competition the Turner Young Artist Competition. It feels only fitting that Richard's name will continue to encourage future generations of musicians, just as he did throughout his life. Our orchestra and our community will never sound quite the same without him. But Richard's stories, his laughter, his generosity, his teaching, and the music will continue in every student he encouraged, every musician he mentored, and every audience member he inspired, and every life he touched. So thank you, Richard. And thank you all for just allowing me to share a small piece of what he meant to us. She's precious. Thank y'all so much. Okay, so now Becky and Heather are gonna play PAA soon.
Can you see me well enough? Am I too far back?
So as soon as Heather puts her instrument away, we're gonna say a few words together about how we should.
Okay, this is starting.
That's how we practice.
So I'm Heather Malady and this is Mayla Stagg. We are both longtime students, then friends of Richard. We both met Richard when he first moved to town, and it actually is mind-boggling to me that I'm actually older now than I was when I met Richard. That because when you're 13, people in their late 30s seem really old. I wish I were in my late 30s, but those times have gone. So for whatever reason, I have a pretty distinct memory of my initial meeting of Richard, and it was in the Dean Morgan Junior High band room. He had just moved to town, and
for those of you who don't know, my mom's kind of a big deal in the Casper music scene. Anyway, through things like Symphony and Casper Chamber Music Society, my mom and Richard naturally ran in all the same circles. And because she was, as mothers are, controlling, she wanted to make sure that I learned from the best. And so when this hotshot new bassoonist moved to town, they of course met and immediately, I guess that's how it came to be. So thanks, Mom.
About me.
I'm talking about you. You're the reason that I met and loved Richard so much. Okay, yes. How did you meet Richard?
So it was probably about the same time. So I had just graduated high school, so I'm just a couple years older than Heather. And I, funnily enough, I had taught myself how to play bassoon in high school because there wasn't anybody in town. I do not recommend that, by the way. I definitely picked up some bad habits. And so that when I became a music major at Casper College, they didn't have anybody to teach bassoon. So they hired Richard specifically for me. And honestly, it just blossomed from there. So I, met him once a week during the school year. And then many years later, when I went back to finish my bachelor's degree in music, I was like, Richard, is this possible? And he's like, oh yeah, let me send my stuff in. We'll get you certified. And he would never take a penny from me for those lessons because he just wanted me to learn and grow. So, yeah.
So I think, and it's been mentioned once already, that Richard was really at his core, he was a teacher, he was a learner, but he was also so much more than that. For the person who needs a good laugh, Richard was there. For the person who needs a shoulder to cry on, Richard was there. For a person who needs encouragement to try something new, to step outside of their comfort zone, Richard's there. If you need somebody to be a reference for a job application, don't worry, nobody ever called me, but Richard was a reference. One of the things that I think was so impactful for me, and I met Richard when I was 13, right? I know I'm not 13, but I have struggled with mental health issues. And I think that Richard would not hide the fact that he had some mental health issues, and he was such a huge support and truly empathetic and compassionate. And to have somebody, an adult male role model in your life who can give you that kind of support, even as a 43-year-old person, to have that adult male role model in your life who can give you that kind of support, it's invaluable, right? You can't buy that. But besides really sad, depressing things, but also we talked about the humor. Richard he'd always make you feel better. And if it was because he physically caused you pain by the level of joke, it got your mind off of whatever else, right? But the jokes weren't usually too painful. But I will say, and I don't know, maybe this is just me, but Richard was so much smarter than me that sometimes those jokes went. But apparently, so Heidi was just telling us that apparently I got a good one. I know it was not Heidi, it was you. Apparently I got a good one in on Richard.
Oh, you
You want me to tell the story?
Why don't you tell it?
Yeah, so in one of our last rehearsals, just a couple of weeks ago, he was complaining to Jackson and Heather that they were maybe a little bit too loud on this one part. So he's like the first and the fourth, parts are not as strong. So he said the second and the third parts are a little fat, is how he said
Didn't
it.
Sarah tell us thick?
Maybe it was thick.
Oh.
I feel like it was fat. So Heather goes, she's just like, well, I thought the first part's a little thin.
Yeah, so great advice, irreverent humor, and just how
how to live your life the best way you can. That was Richard. And you were gonna talk about.
So one of his family members said to me the other day that Richard was always looking to the next generation. So honestly, for so many of us, all of us in Marley and the Stingers were students of his at one point. And honestly, he created the group. He also kind of pushed us toward the name, and I'll maybe have to explain that a little bit. So my name is Mela, but nobody can ever get my name right, and so he decided we should make fun of ourselves a little bit and call ourselves Marla. And for musicians who know what a stinger is, it's kind of the end of a march where you're like dun 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 dun. You know, you have that one little extra note on there. Some musicians accidentally play one that's not actually written there, and so there was a rehearsal that both me and Heidi and wherever Roger Feather went, he might remember this rehearsal. We were playing a John Philip Sousa march, and Heidi accidentally played the stinger the first time we practiced it. Roger gave her a dirty look. Well, the next time he played it, I accidentally played the stinger, but he still thought it was Heidi, so he gave Heidi a dirty look again. So that was, you know, we had to make fun of ourselves a little bit. But not only with the stingers. So several years ago, Richard texted me, and he's like, "So, how many of you guys got a text that just started with, so I did a thing," you know? He's like, "So I put your name down as playing contra, or like the first person to call to play contrabassoon, which is that giant thing that I was playing before, for the Wyoming Symphony." And he's like, "And I realize you probably have never even touched a contrabassoon, but I happen to have one coming in the mail, so you'll get to learn how to play." So I didn't really have much of a choice, you know. I was pushed into that. Yeah. And honestly, it probably was at my house more than it was his, because he's like, "Oh, you should play it for this, and you should play it for this," and I was like, "I can give it back," and he's like, "No, just keep it to keep practicing," you know. So it probably lived at my house more than his, to be honest. Heidi had already mentioned that he gave up his spot in Rapid City when she had the opportunity to move there. That was more probably common than not, because he, in my opinion, felt like he kind of had his time in the spotlight, and he wanted the rest of us to shine just as brightly. Okay, back to you.
All right, so next we were looking at what is the world without Richard? And at first glance, it might seem a duller, less amazing place. But when we keep looking, we see a bird in a perfect pose for a picture. We hear or play a song that reminds us of him. We cry all through city band practice because we're playing Georgia. You hear a joke that makes you laugh or makes you groan, and you cuddle with your cat. And at any of these moments, you realize that he's not gone, right? He's still here. Maybe you have to look a little harder, but Richard remains with us, and just remembering all of the ways that he is still here with us.
So Heather and I often referred to him as our bassoon dad, because he was so much more than just a friend and a teacher. So as long as there is someone who met him even once, his influence will forever be in our hearts. And I want to just end this with kind of traditional Irish toast. So, sláinte, Richard. Okay, and now I'm going to try to sing. I'm going to sing first and then tell the story of why I chose this song. Because if I try to tell the story first, I won't get through the song. So this is a very common Irish song. This is The Minstrel Boy. The minstrel boy to the war is gone. In the rings of death you'll find him. His father's sword he has girded on, and his wild harp slung praise thee. The minstrel fell, but the foeman's chain could not bring his proud soul under. The harp he loved ne'er spoke again, for he tore his chords asunder, and said, no chains shall gully thee, the soul of love and bravery. Thy songs were made for the brave and free, they shall never sound in slavery. So the day after, I told them I was going to sing a cappella because depending on what my voice wants to do, I'll pick the key. So the day after Richard passed, I had a vacation planned. So I am driving to Salt Lake. And I said just a few weeks ago, Richard and I had played in the Lander Symphony. And we share a love of Irish music, and so we were listening to Irish music the whole way down there and all the way back. And so I'm driving to Salt Lake the day after he passed away, and that song just popped into my head, and it just stayed in my head. And I don't know how many of you believe in this kind of stuff, but literally a week later, I had a dream with me and Richard. We were planning someone else's service, and I mentioned the song, and he just goes, he loved that song. So I was like, okay, I got to do it. I'm so glad I got through it, though. Thank you.
Thank you, girls, for your sweet remembrances and wonderful music. Thank you. Richard loved to photograph, and he loved to come here to photograph birds. Maybe it was the cat lover in him that loved to sneak up and catch one in just the right moment. So down here on the wall, you'll see the photo that he took, that he entered into a contest and won an award, and was so, he told it, he was so proud of it. We were so proud of him. So, so now the girls are gonna come up and, the Lone Wild Bird is the song that is going to be played, but they're going to give you the words before you start. And it's interactive, so pay attention.
Just to introduce everyone, I'm Sarah, the other Sarah, and then Hannah and Kate, and we'll be saying these words in call and response style. The response is, Great Spirit, come rest in me too. And after we hear the words, we'll hear the music. The lone wild bird in lofty flight is still with you, nor leaves your sight. And I am yours, I rest in you. Great Spirit, come
rest in me too.
The ends of earth are in your hands, the seas dark deep and far off land. And I am yours, I rest in you.
Great Spirit, come rest in me too.
Each secret thought is known to you, the path I walk my whole life through. My days, my deeds, my hopes, my fears, my deepest chore, my silent tears. Oh, sorry. And I am yours, I rest in you.
Great Spirit, come rest in me too.
next song is gonna be, fireworks music from Brother Rara Avis. I'm sorry that I have such a hard time with that. Richard picked that name, which means rare bird, because he loved the sounds of the two flutes together. So now they're going to play for us fireworks music. Thank y'all for coming today. Now we will have a traditional Irish send-off. We're going to hear Ilian pipes and then play, and then there'll be just a little bit of break. We'll sit here for that, and then with a little bit of break, and then they're going to continue to play, but we would love for you to join us over there with just some snacks and then some time to share your memories, your fun things about Richard that you all just love to share. I love our tags, so now you know how each of you knew Richard, and that's such a sweet thing too. So thank you all again for coming.
As we start playing, that's your cue to get up and talk with each other, visit. We are not performing, we are playing our session. And so we've got a few these lights, but just please, don't sit and listen. Just get up and talk, go for it.
Keep it going. We can keep it going while they play, yeah.
Ready?
Yeah, those are for sure. I'm not sure about this one. Oh, I'm not necessarily, but this seems to make it.
Okay.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, and it's actually 6 years. Yeah. We just dynamic too. I'm trying to think of who else I would. You know, when I left, my mother. Oh, I get a guitar early, so I love this is time. Yeah. Writing something. Yeah, right. Oh, I know. Oh my gosh, I know. But it's been a, when Leonard was a mess. He was so, I love it. So, you know, he's the one that started that. Yes. And I think about that every day. I know. That was a lot of work, but it was really. Sitting there, he had come in. For some reason, I can't
Oh, same here. I barely know what that is.
Thank you all for being here.
Well, there she is. Not exhausted.
About time you got over there.
It's true. So
So many good memories. I didn't want to
Oh, yeah.
Well, they didn't expect to play it. You know, it's
He said it really.
Oh, okay, that my dream is that.
Wait, it's gonna go.
Yes.
Well, and so I'm hoping tomorrow.
Thanks. It is. Scale down to what we do.
It's so beautiful. No, I think my mom is going to kind of get an idea. It's lots of
Last 2 years, we was at our house every Thursday, 2 hours. 2 hours
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cheap. And she had those two great meals, so the whole family just pretty much took the long haul and it's so good to be auction.
We just realized that we retired.
Which means that I would just finish.
Some of it, like, yes, and some of it, odd. And that's one of the things I want you to take me through essentially cutting the greens for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of.
I know.
So I had to cut it like that. I was seeing it every single. I said, I was looking for your.
I didn't know. Yeah. Well, now you know.
How many years?
Very.
Oh, this camera, come on. Yes, yeah, oh yeah, he's like, he did that for your thing, right? You I was like,
So, yeah. But after to like spin it.
it rotates on its own axis.
Yeah. Okay, right in that. Okay, so I'm gonna go for that. Okay, because when I joined your. And then I joined. Because there was a. Right. And then I got. Welcome, thank you for joining us.
Right.
Get that done. See how scared I guess. We didn't have to. I'm really.
Well, right, I actually have but yeah, like. I was gonna say, when you're inside the house. Oh, okay. It's so beautiful.
Well, yeah, we have a class right now from 5 to 6:30. City Works down. This is played by ear. Yeah. We are after that. You know, we have a squad a little bit. But it's. That's what I was looking yeah, and
we have sometimes done 3 cutters.
Yeah.
But they work together really good. Everyone plays a melody.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let us know because.
I just have to check it
Well,
out first and then go from there.
Yeah, and like we didn't quite first, we didn't have these. Remember it. So we've got.
I was learning to make research, you know, refresh my memory. I got 7 plus.
You can see it's all. Yeah.
Right? We used to go this way, especially your
It's about an hour and 40, she said the dog was in.
Yeah.
And then I called out, so I just. He played and then.
My 3 weeks.
Sig,
Use that.
yeah, and then. Nina singing party acapella and very good. Yeah. That's about 42.
Yes. Yeah. A metal
She must have my name. Well, you said you wanted to. Oh, you're gonna be in the shade here.
There we go. Yeah.
Are you okay? I'll see you guys later.
And it rotates. It's like, oh, it's so cute. It was carousels, but it's like. Yeah. Oh, yes, yes. Yeah.
3 minutes
That is so cool.
before my next class. She goes,
I gave Facebook.
So what percentage?
I'm a little bit sensitive. I got it.
Yeah, sorry.
I'll just.
Well, that's it. So one thing is just
Yeah.
up, down.
Well, we got grandkids.
Grandkids coming too.
Good to see you.
Good to see you soon. I'll see you again.
Yeah, come up and listen. Come up and play.
Oh, this is. I thought it was a place to put. This is the. Journey home.
Pamela.
Good to see you.
Oh, that's great. Okay, thank you. Again. Thank you, Bobby. Good. Yes. Thanks for going. No, I always. All right. Thank you, Grandpa. Okay.
I was like, yeah, I was like, my hair got a lot shorter. Yours is a lot longer than I remember it.
I was gonna say, it's been so much since
Sure.
I've seen you. How are you?
I heard you were around and stuff.
Yeah.
So you're in Rapid now?
Well, until we move back in June, July. Yeah, my husband was promoted and transferred to, I guess. But to manager. Sorry, branch manager, and, transferred back. And I had a teaching job, so, yeah, it's all lined up. Just kind of like these yesterday. That was an adventure. There was some. Just 4 years. But it was a lot of fun. So Richard, do you want a second spot? Sent for them to pay me back up here. And Erica was playing. And then Erica moved to Boston.
Oh, okay. See, I've heard of Erica, but I don't think I've. It's like when she was going, that's when I got.
Yeah, Erica was saying she's wonderful. So she moved to Boston. So Richard and I were sharing the first spot. So whenever sharing was very loosely, he was playing first and he wasn't better than I. So yeah. Yeah, you guys know.
But I'm.
Yeah.
That's what we should have given another, so a year and a half later.
Memorize prizes at my story.
We're a little south of the story. We're actually across from like this stuff.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Can I give you some advice?
No, I'm just kidding.
You know what? I would love to have some songs. And be like, listen, we do like that for the last name.
Kind of spent.
Good to have you.
I have a little more to give, but I'm done now.
My last name is now.
Okay, we'll do. You too. Bye-bye.
So then it would be.
Okay, Dad, let's get you stuff.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Yeah.